Welcome to Why Such a Fuss, an exciting new channel dedicated to help individuals and businesses to learn more about data protection in a way that is easy and engaging. I'm Christina from CVG Solutions, and I am a fully qualified data protection professional. I am passionate about educating, empowering, and enabling businesses to thrive. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel and help us to spread the word. Data protection is there for a reason. It protects you, your family, loved ones, customers, employees from coming to harm through the use of personal data. So make sure you click subscribe. Now, get ready to embark on a journey of growth and knowledge as we dive into the world of data protection. Audit. Auditing is something that most, if not all, organizations dread. Their views are that it's disruptive, time-consuming, it's a bit of a telling off or a show-off of weaknesses, and so it kind of leaves them with a bitter taste in their mouth. In my last corporate role, we were actually forbidden to use the word audit. It had to be called review. Personally, I take audit as an opportunity to discover what has been done well and therefore continue doing, and what could be done better. So in other words, for me, it's an opportunity for improvement. That's how I see audit. In theory, audit are just feedbacks about your processes, your system, your policies, similar to customer feedbacks that you do through a survey or even staff surveys, where you get that feedbacks that gives you an understanding of what you should carry on, what you've done well, and what actually your customers or your employees will want you to improve on. Now, Annie McNeely, a quality practitioner and ISO 9001 auditor, is back with us. Hello, Annie, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be back.
Good, good. In your opinion, Annie, why are audits important?
Well, the first thing to understand when it comes to ISO 9001 is there's actually two kinds of auditing, two main kinds of auditing. There's internal auditing and external auditing, and they're related, but they serve different functions. So the internal auditing, and people get a bit confused about this term internal auditing. It's internal in the sense that it stays within your quality management system. It doesn't contribute to your certification. And it's actually a mechanism for continuous improvement. So internal auditing is important because that is the way that you deliver, or one of the main ways that you deliver continuous improvement for your quality management system and for your business. And as you rightly say, it's about finding opportunities. It should be seen as a positive thing that delivers opportunities for improvement. It's often not seen that way, but there are reasons behind that, and I'm sure we'll come on to that later on. External auditing, on the other hand, that's the bit, or that's the mechanism that delivers your certification. So that's a certification body that you pay to come in and give that impartial assessment of your system. And that's very much focused on compliance. Are you compliant with the requirements of the standard? And if you are, you will get your certification. And that's on a fixed schedule that's the same for every business that has ISO 9001 certification. The intervals are fixed, the process is fixed. Internal auditing, whilst there are specific requirements, the standard is not specific or prescriptive about how often you do it and how you structure it, things like that. You do what works best for your business. So they work quite differently. The link is that if your internal auditing is effective, the external auditing takes care of itself. Because the internal auditing is that constant ongoing checking to make sure you're doing what you should be, you're compliant with the standard, it's all ticking along nicely, you've fixed anything that's not working. If you're doing that, the external audit really is just that, as you say, a bit of external feedback, and to give it that official stamp that, yes, you're compliant.
Yes.
Do internal auditing, and the rest is sorted.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, one of the analogy that I use sometimes to describe auditing is similar to think of the MOT of your car that you have to do
Hmm.
every year. Why do we do it? Obviously, it's a legal requirement, but there is a purpose, and the reason behind that is because your car is subject to wear and tear over time through the usage. And
Yeah.
so the MOT is there to check that the car is still safe to drive. And if there is something wrong, it's highlighted and you then sort of fix it. Basically, you put it right.
Yeah.
So the similar analogy applies to businesses. Things of in a business, there are things that become dated. New systems are introduced, or new products and services are introduced. The business perhaps has grown, so now it's 20 employees instead of 5. So,
Yeah.
and therefore, the infrastructure, again, the security measures, the policy, etc., need to be checked to make sure they are still fit for purpose, that they still meet the requirements and the obligation of the regulations or the standards, if you're talking about standards. So that's what is there for. So it's about maintaining, if you want, the status quo. It's about understanding the conformities and the non-conformities, which are then opportunities to improve. Identifies area where things have gone a little bit stale, so that your effort can be laser focused, and therefore you become more efficient and effective. As I said, it's about ensuring that the business infrastructure is still fit for purpose, whether it's from a quality perspective, whether it's from a GDPR perspective, or from any standard perspective. It also shows the business maturity journey. With my clients, I always compare the audits year on year so that they can see how much they're progressing. And actually, very often they're surprised that they've gone as much so far. So now we know what and why we do audit. So now let's look more into the how and when. So when should an audit be carried out? Or the frequency, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is where it gets a bit more complicated with ISO 9001. I'll cover external auditing first. That's the easy bit in many ways, because that's determined by others and you just have to stick to it. So when you first set your system up, you have an initial certification audit, year 1. And that gives you your certificate. And then you have 2 years of what they call surveillance audits. So it's still that external party coming in, but it doesn't affect your certification. They might find things you need to work on, but it doesn't affect your certification. And then after those 2 surveillance audits, you have another recertification audit. So after the initial certification, it's on a 3-year cycle: surveillance, recertify, surveillance, recertify, and it just follows that program endlessly. And that's determined by the standard. That's how it works. You can't change it. Obviously, you get flexibility to agree dates based on availability and things like that with your certification body, but that happens every year.
Yeah.
Internal auditing, on the other hand, is very variable. You can determine that internally. One of the mistakes that businesses often make is that they go for the absolute bare minimum, which is 1 internal audit a year. And all that can do is determine that you are still compliant with the standard. However, what you're losing is all of those opportunities for improvement that come along through the year. And as you alluded to earlier, a lot can change in a year. So things can go very awry over the course of a year. And then if you only look at it once a year, you've got a much bigger problem to sort out. So my approach, my preferred approach with my clients is little and often. Ideally, once a month. But it depends a bit on the complexity of the business, the size of the business, what kind of internal resources they've got. It might be quarterly, it might be every couple of months. But the key point is to do it regularly. and keep checking in, and don't let things get too far astray, because then you will dread your external audit because things have gone so badly wrong. You don't really know how well it's working. Yeah. And then someone from outside is going to come in and assess it all. Yes. The key thing as well, the other key point here is that internal auditing through the course of a year, so you have to have a schedule for it, even if it's only got one date on the calendar. You have to be able to show that you've planned it and it's scheduled. Your audit program for that 12-month period must cover the whole system. You have to audit the whole system. You can't just sort of cherry pick or focus on one bit every time. You have to audit the whole system. And again, if you think of cramming an audit of an entire quality management system into one day, it's going to be fairly superficial. Whereas if you're doing it in bite-sized chunks, you're really sort of deep diving into the different areas, and you will find stuff that needs to be improved, that's not compliant, that's gone off the rails, that needs retraining, whatever it might be. And if you that's where that continuous improvement comes in, because nothing is ever getting past you. So my approach is little and often, whatever that might look like for your business.
Yeah, no, I concur with that. Yeah. And so when it comes to an audit, whether it's internal or external, I'll let you decide, what should an organization do to prepare?
Okay, so big picture, manage your system day to day, because the audits become less and less scary if you're on top. It's like taking an exam. If you've been studying all the way through the year, the exam is a lot less stressful than if you're cramming everything 2 nights before the exam, right? It's the same principle. So if you're managing your system ongoing, that is a massive help. That said, internal audits are a lot less formal. So there's a lot more, it's dead easy. You turn up, you sit down next to the person, you talk them through what you're going to look at, you write down your find. It's a lot less stressful. They know you, happens all the time. That's easy. So there's not really a lot to prepare. It's really the internal auditor's job to prepare, because they're deciding what they're going to look at and what questions they have and things like that, more so. External audits, you'll get a schedule, because the auditor will spend the first part of their allocated time creating their audit plan, which will indicate what they want to look at with you. Ahead of that date, dot your I's, cross your T's. So make sure your document control is up to date. Make sure there aren't any old versions of processes knocking around in people's desks and things like that. Clear all of that stuff out. Do a bit of intensive process monitoring ahead of time on your key processes, just to make sure that everyone's up to speed, and refresh them. Let your people know that the audit's coming and what they're going to look at and who they want to talk to. Beyond that, it depends a little bit on how your system is delivered, because some people use a management software, a platform to manage their system. Some people it's a quality manual, some people it's a SharePoint. So it depends a little bit on how your system sits in your business, but have your ducks in a row, have your quality policy handy. If it's a quality manual, have the quality manual there ready. Make sure you can go straight to your core processes that they might want to look at. You know where everything is, it's handy, it's easy to get to. Not only does that make your life easier, it makes the auditor's life easier. And the easier his day is, the faster he's out the door. So, so be organised, essentially. Yes. Be organised, get all your stuff together, make sure everybody is aware of what's happening. It's common sense, really, isn't it? It's the same as you would for any other sort of visiting inspector or auditor, but the more prepared you are, the happier you'll be on the day.
Yes. So. And thinking back to the internal audit, so obviously, you've got a big corporation where they have dedicated teams that do auditing, but the smaller organization don't have that luxury. Okay. Yeah. So who should carry that out as an internal audit?
So there's nothing in the standard that says that you must do it one way or another, or you must have this person do it or that person do it. It comes down to skill set and impartiality. And in and I obviously work with small businesses most of the time. It is possible for small businesses to carry out their own internal audits if they have a dedicated person. Sometimes there'll be a quality health and safety person. and they will do the internal auditing. But more often than not, in a small business, they'll bring an external person like me. I do internal auditing for my clients. They'll bring someone like me in to do it. And the reason for that is, A, you need to know what you're doing and how to do it, and you need to understand the quality management standard inside out, upside down, and backwards. And obviously, I'm also a lead auditor, so I have that insight into what the person on the other side of the table is looking for, as it were. So that's helpful too. Yeah. But you also cannot mark your own homework. So in a really small business, you end up with a situation where you have to have two people able to do the internal auditing, so they can audit each other's activities, and that starts to get burdensome in terms of cost and time and training and upkeep and all the rest of it. So it's much easier to just have an external provider to come and drop into your business periodically and carry out that internal audit function for you, than it is to try and do it in-house. That said, businesses do it in-house, and some businesses manage it really well. But more often than not, it's someone like myself who would go in and do it for them on a day rate usually.
Yes, yeah. And from a GDPR perspective, we don't actually have external audit because there isn't such a thing as a certificate.
Yeah,
there might be in the future, but at the moment there isn't. So all auditing, it's an internal audit. And you, because I also work with small businesses, they tend to get me, an external person, to come in to do it. Because you need to know the regulation inside out. You need to know what you're looking for, what good looks like. And also, because they're small businesses, they can't afford to have someone within their organization stop what they're doing to do this. They invest into someone external who has the knowledge, and also gives them that safety that is being done right. You know what I mean? That the rights are being looked at, discovered. There's the correct recommendation are there going forward. It becomes more of, because a creative report, so it's become more official kind of thing. So
holds more weight, arguably.
Yes. So then, when you then present it to the CEO or the leadership, it's got the additional weight, and it gives them that safety nest. And should they be then assessed by the RCO, they've got something, like you said, with more weight that they can present to the RCO and say, well, this has been carried out by a professional in the field. So yes. Well, Annie, thank you very much for joining us again. Would you like to let our audience know how to get in touch with you?
Sure. So I'm on LinkedIn. You'll find me as Annie McNeely. I have a website, which is anniemcneely.co.uk, and all my services and background and everything are listed on there for your information. And my email address is annie@anniemcneely.co.uk. So do reach out and give me a shout if there's anything you'd like to discuss, because every business can be a quality business. I really believe that.
Thank you. And if you would like to get in touch with me, I can be found on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Just search for CVG Solutions. You can also email me at info@cvgsolutions.co.uk. Remember to subscribe to this channel so that you get notified of any new episodes.